Hey, welcome guys back to Musings of Maverick channel. It's your host Maverick, bringing to you the grand finale of Astra Lost in Space. So this episode was a little bit delayed again, although again, not entirely my fault. Funimation, the publisher here, decided that, well, I guess they didn't really decide, but apparently they got the raw files a little bit later than they would have liked, so they weren't ready to complete the translations. And the time where they did release it is literally the middle of the night on my time. And since I also have an actual job, I could only do this episode after I got home, right? And well, you know, that's all in the past. Anyways, we're here now. Everything is great. And I'm really looking forward to this because there's still a lot of, unsolved mysteries here. I still have my, last episode we got the entire we resolved the entire situation with Charis, I guess you could say, at the cost of Kanata's hand, arm. I think it was up to his elbow, right? But yeah, things got real for a while. But hey, at least everybody is all united together, right? They are a team, a crew, friendship, yay, I guess you could say. But even with all that said, there are still a lot of stuff unanswered, right? Such as, what exactly happened to the past, to the history of these people now living on Astra, what happened to Earth, as well as what's actually going to happen once they get back to Astra, indeed. So yeah, without further ado, since this is going to be a 1-hour episode, let's just get right into the story. Alrighty, let's begin in 3, 2, 1, play. I probably won't be splitting this video into 2 parts. Yeah, I tried to do that with the first episode, didn't really succeed. Well, let's just finish how we started, right? All the way through. Oh, damn. She sew him up without... Damn. That is metal. Kanata? Damn, look at his... This dude. Just like Kiteri said, nothing but respect. Aww. Do tell. Okay. Okay. yeah, they actually still have to do that. Alright. 4 months. I was literally thinking, isn't that the Mario sound? You know, considering this is like far into the future now, he should be able to get like a really cool bionic arm, right? Or at least a really cool prosthetic. Maybe even being able to remote control it. I mean, we have that technology nowadays already. Damn. Yep, 4 months. Another 10 days or so? He's feeling left out. Yeah. What the heck was that? Oh wow. Whoosh. I still. Okay, there we go. He's gonna talk about the history of the planet. Ooh. Mm-hmm. $5,000 light years away. Okay. But why? Why is it a secret though? So they were still infighting during that time? Did they literally create this entire world in just 6 years? Yeah. Really? You could literally teleport a bomb. Yeah. No, I'm surprised that half the world actually survived. Still not all this in 10 years? Right. Hmm. You can't just erase technology. Yeah, my exact thoughts. They reset the time, right? They had to have done that. $30 years? 100. Okay. Hmm. So right now it's actually 2162. Or 7? I still find that hard to believe. I don't buy it. Not at all. That's impossible. It's not that hard, guys. え、whatever. Like, if that's how they want to say it, that's how they want to say it. うんふん。Yeah, it's actually 2163. So she's like what, 140 years? Eh. You know, I guess I'll talk a little bit more about this at the very end, but I'm against this for two reasons. One is that I feel like it's still completely impossible for human nature to hide something like this. And second of all, well, fun fact, I'm actually a historian, or I can't really say I'm a practicing historian, I'm an amateur, but that was what I majored in. You never, never hide history. And how would you convince them? Mm.
私のお母さんにメールを送って、そのグレース警部さんに伝えてもらうのはどうでしょう。お母さんは私たちの味方です。いいっすね、そのアイデア。どうでしょう。
あ、アリエスを育てたお母さんなんだよな。ならきっとアリエスみたいにまっすぐで優しい人だろう。それで行こう。
やるっすね。
まったく焼けるね。私たちにはかなわないけどね。その通りだ。何やってんだか。若いもんはすぐ惚れた腫れたばっかりやな。
Well.
惑星アストラに着く前に一度超高速航行を解除してメールを送ることになりました。私たちと惑星アストラの未来をかけたメール。
Mm.
責任重大です。書くことがいっぱいあって大変ですが、お母さんに送る
Yeah, that is a lot to take in.
私が書く
4 months of stuff? Holy crap. Yeah, 9 days.
メールと合わせてこのキャンプ日誌も一緒に送ります。
Woo! How are they actually going to prove this, though? I mean, if the government already managed to do something as crazy as eliminating all history. Alright, alright, I'm... Alright. And we still have half an... like a whole episode left. Sergeant Pepper. And then like the police or private army is waiting for them. Oh, right. A journalist with a gun.
何言ってんだ。アストラに帰ってからが本番だぜ。俺たちはこれから本当の人生が始まるんだ。
So then there'll be a bunch of orphans. Hard to say. Ah. Alright, so who exactly is it? Friend or foe? Okay, I guess if there was any place for cut, it would be here. But let's just continue on. Okay. Ah, so this is the guy. You're all under arrest.
警察だ。あなたにはクローン密造および殺人教唆の罪で容疑がかけられています。殺人だと？私が誰を殺したというのだ。ああ、失礼。殺人ではなく殺人未遂です。未遂？行方不明だったケアード高校の生徒を名乗る者たちからメールと写真が届き、検証の結果 B ご飯全員の生存が確認されました。バカな。その反応は全てお察しのようで、あなたの権力は我々には及びません。署までご同行願います。チャールズ。あなた、マルク・ビクさん。実はあなたには
Woohoo.
に関する件でお聞きしたいことがあります。
The king should have had, like, a reaction there, right?
グレース警部、ビクシアという地区は一体。秘密の箱。王は鍵を守る番人と言った。だが、それも時期終わるだろう。箱の中の秘密は暴かれて、また混沌の時代が来る。その方が健全な世界だと俺は思うが。
Agreed.
おっしゃっているのか、私にはよく。ああ、すぐにわかるさ。世界中大騒ぎになる。こちら、アストラ号乗員、ケアード高校 B ご飯、応答を求む。聞こえるか、アストラ号。応答せよ。こちらアストラ号。受信し。
Emergency content.
こちらアストラ政府軍。君たちのオリジナルの身柄は全員拘束された。本艦の先導に従い着陸せよ。よく帰ってきたな。
Really? Just like that? Look at that escort formation.
本当いろいろあったよな。
Huh. Are they going to use the last half of the episode to, like, give everybody their just dues?
船が落下した時だな。
Huh. Really? Okay, let me mute this part a little bit since there is background music. And you. Ah, that's such a great scene right there. I like how Charles is. uh, really? Is the last half just one big feel-good episode? I mean, I'm not gonna complain about that, honestly. Welcome back. No place like home.
正しく使えば宇宙への進出が一気に進む。世界が広がるんだ。
恐れずに進むべきだとカナタさんは言いました。人類は平和を実現させましたが、
Oh, of course. Hmm. Welcome back. おかえり。
生徒らは自分たちが違法クローンであると主張しており、密造した人物を告発していました。これを受けて警察は調べを進め、今日までに犯行に関わったとされる男女7人の身柄を拘束しました。また、上院議員のマルコ・エスポジト氏も一連の犯行に関与したとみられ、近く事情聴取を行う方針です。それでは本日行われました生還した生徒たちの記者会見の模様です。
うん。
怪我っすか？怪我はそうですね。まあ、僕の腕が飛んだくらいっすかね。おお。それもなんか最終的には誰が考えた義手が面白いか対決のネタにされたり。あ、優勝したのは三つ股ザリガニのハサミで作ったやつです。
実際に動かせるところがひょっと
お前が優勝すんじゃねえよ。
気になるのはやはり食料事情なんですが、さぞ飢えや渇きに苦しんだと思います。辛かった経験などあればお聞かせください。
ユーバちゃん言ってください。アリエスちゃん言ってよ。私2キロ増え
They're like. Okay. They're like in way better condition than they expected, I guess.
俺たちのアストラ号ってどうなるんですか？
貴重な古代の遺物だ。博物館からすでにオファーが来ているよ。
It's fine. You can pilot another one. Well, I guess he needs to find it too.
世界中に報道されました。意外にも楽しそうに語られる私たちの体験談は大きな話題を呼び、メンバーはあらゆるメディアから取材を受け、テレビにも連日出演する騒ぎに。そして世界の秘密に関して、カナダさんとシャルスさんは何度も政府の会議に出席し、全てを打ち明けるべきだと主張しました。実はすでに歴史に疑問を持つ学者やジャーナリストたちも多く、応じなければ自分たちで暴露するというカナダさんの意思が決定打となり、政府が隠している情報は全て公表するという結論に至ったのでした。
Good.
世界はひっくり返るような大騒ぎ。一部で政府に対するデモが激化しました。しかしその騒動を沈静化させるのに一役買ったのがカナタさんの執筆した旅の全容がユーモアあふれる筆致で続く
Really?
特に自分の目で世界を見ることの大切さが説かれた最終章は、世界中の人々に影響を与え、世界の混乱は
Uh,
変わっていったのです。ちなみにその勢いに乗って、ヒトリーちゃんはファッション雑誌のモデルまでやって
yeah, it really is just just talking about their life. It's really just
そのシャルスさんの今後のご報告。
telling them about this. What happens? Does he become king?
強い洗脳状態にあったこと、そして被害者の私たちが訴えを起こさず擁護していることから罪には問われませんでした。そしてその後いろいろと本当にいろいろとあったそうなのですが、シャルスさんは
Yep.
ビクシアの王に即位しました。
Now's to be expected.
シャルスさんは即位後すぐに政治的権力を放棄し、
Breaking down the walls.
王家が握っていた秘密を歴史研究のために全て公開しました。城の一部も開放して貴族エリアの壁も取り払うことに。それがシャルスさんなりの責任の取り方だったのでしょう。この若き王の改革は世間の注目を浴び、さらに人気が出ました。
All right, but there's still. Yeah, they're still students. Ah. Hmm. Okay, okay. 7 years after returning. Holy crap. Talk about time skip. や、that was seriously lucky of him. Ah, here it is. Isn't it supposed to be in a museum? That's a museum? Alright. Oh. Well, talk about clone. She's she's the spitting image of Kituri. Mm. And Yun takes up the mantle of her original. Alright. I agree.
実はさっき宇宙港によってもう挨拶は済ませ
Oh?
大将には会えなかったんだけどな。またすぐに会えるだろう。次は取材対象かもな。
Earth Memorial Hall.
だからユンファとは友達なの。知らないの？ B ご飯のメンバーよ。いいっすよキトリーさん、今楽屋行かなくてもコンサート終わった後に会えますから。あと来るのはフニちゃんだけですね。フルガーはずっと飛び回って帰ってないっすよ。
Look at his unisex.
ほっときゃいいんすよ、あんなトンボみたいな人。飛び回るといえば今日あの人たち出発っすね。見送りくんなって言われましたけど、二人とも心配でしょう。別にこんな可愛い妻を
Kanata, Zach,
あ
and Charis?
アリエスさんも怒っていいんすよ。だいたいうまくいってんのあんたたち。それが
After it.
カナダさんと結婚することになりました。
What? Well, I guess it has been 7 years, but. Dang. Oh, that's funny. That is super funny. Uh, that was. All right. Oh. And I guess this is going to be ending song for this one? Or at least a farewell song? Yep. 'They're all a spitting image of their originals.
何度も危険な目にあって喧嘩もして泣いたり落ち込んだりいろいろあったけど、思い出すのはいつもみんなの笑った顔でした。店長は本でボロ儲けしたお金で
Ah.
船を買い戻したそうです。
So he's still using that shit.
彼の気持ちが私にはよくわかり、あの船は私たちの友情の証だから、私たちの旅はこれからもずっとずっと続きます。
Well, I understand that's. Right. And so you guys know the drill. I'm gonna be muting this. Yep. Looking fly, Kanata. Kanata. Look at these guys. Hmm. To go boldly where no one has gone before.
マジか、誘っとけよ。誘ったさ。でも大将と行くとまた遭難しそうだから断るってさ。なんだと？たく変わってね。
Charles, right?
おい、あれ？あ？や？まさか。なんで来てんだよ。いや、行けたら行くって言ってたでしょ。飲み会か。王様が。いいのかよ。だって約束したじゃないか。君の右腕になるって。
Yeah, he sure did.
シャレに決まってんだろ。はあ、いいじゃない。僕は彼女の役に立つし。なんだとお前、右肘からミサイル撃つぞお前。そんな機能ないし。
Yeah, that should have been a feature. I agree. Aww. I like how the lyrics work Kanata into it, right? The Kanata in this context probably means the distance, the far side. But it's also Kanata's name. You know what? That's how you make an ending, right? Well, knowing like what everyone did and all that. With games as well, I love it when games actually take the time to show you once you defeated the big bad guy or something, completed the mission. You know, where did all your companions end up, right? Did they continue to live a good life? Not just like one-liner of stuff, but actually showing us how they're actually like right now. I love that. I'm just looking at this because I don't know if there's going to be any like Easter egg at the very end or not. I mean, if there's not, there's not. Then I guess we can just look at the credits, right? Okay. Doesn't seem to be any special Easter egg. Alright. Alrighty, so there we have the grand finale of this show. And like I was saying at the very end there, like, it was great. I really do enjoy the fact that they took the time to go through each single character and show us a little bit about what their current life actually is, how they're doing and whatnot, and we actually see them have some interactions as well. It's not just literally, like, say for instance, with Kitori, they could have maybe just show her poster, and then that would literally be it. But no, they actually still brought her back to have some kind of interaction and whatnot. So that was indeed something that I liked very much. Anyways, we're in the review portion here, right? And this is already a pretty long episode, and I still got to talk about both this episode and the series as a whole. So let's just get right into it. So first of all, the episode, right? Like I was saying, I like how they showed everyone. I kind of feel like the one thing I didn't really like about this episode was there were too many people that suddenly appeared, right? This cop suddenly appeared out of nowhere, and this I believe it's Mark Vixia, and the one who assassinated the princess, also appeared out of nowhere, right? I'm not sure if that's how it is in the manga as well. I feel like these sort of characters should be somewhat introduced, even in passing, a little bit earlier. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that they didn't really actually mention any of this, right? So, if they actually had introduced these characters a little bit earlier, it wouldn't feel that much like I'm not gonna say cop-out, but it's really convenient that these characters, are there at that time, right? So, I guess it could be just due to time constraint problems with the adaptation and whatnot, but still, I wish they could have done that a little bit better. In regards to the, I did enjoy how everything went relatively smoothly and I guess relatively logically as well, right? You write up your report, you provide all the facts, and they can verify some of these facts, and that's that, right? That would be fairly easy to, I guess. I was actually waiting for some complications to arise, like maybe they had the originals or whatnot. They had some influence within the police or the government circles as well, but that didn't actually happen. They were simply arrested and whatnot. I guess they went also a little bit too peacefully. I was expecting them to be like shouting and making a huge commotion and whatnot, and like, no, I don't deserve this, that kind of thing, right? But they all went relatively peacefully, so that kind of, I don't know, it didn't really give the full satisfaction of bringing them down, if you guys get what I mean. But that is more of a minor nitpick, right? And I mean, justice was served. They're all in jail now, whilst their clones are living their life to the fullest, right? So I guess that in itself is a good enough reward. But I would have liked to see them actually have a little bit more reaction to the fact that they were being arrested for this. Like either being crestfallen, either like losing all hope, or even and bursting out in outrage, something like that. Anything, not just going along silently. And the humor had its shining points. I especially loved the part where Kanata asked Char's permission to marry Ares. Like, that part like completely cracked me up. So I did enjoy the humor elements in this as well. So let's talk a little bit about I guess the meat of the story here, right? And what was revealed here by Char's in regards to the true history of the world. Now, I already mentioned this there, and I'm gonna mention again. I really don't buy that for a second, both on a, is it plausible level, and also on a personal level, with personal beliefs. And let me expand on this a little bit. So, first of all, in regards to history, right? Saying that, okay, so World War III kind of broke out in a certain way, nuclear war, as we can see from the mushroom clouds and whatnot, and half of humanity was wiped out, right? And apparently this is enough to cause humanity to band together in, I don't know, like 1 or 2 years, and to create a unified language, to ban all religions, to ban all weapons. Like, I'm sorry, I don't buy that at all. If there's anything that history has taught us time and time again, it's that humans, when faced with adversity, they strengthen their beliefs, they strengthen their convictions and what they actually believe in. Just because they're in this sort of there's in this sort of situation does not mean that they easily give up their original values or their original beliefs and so on and so forth, their original culture, yada yada yada, right? It doesn't. There's always going to be fringe elements who do not accept this, and not to mention, like, just think about it, like banning religion, like. If anything, you would think that people would be even more turning towards religion at these troubled times in order to try and gain some sort of peace of mind, right? And the same with language as well. Like, sure, that's a noble goal and all, to unite all people under a common language. What language are they going to choose, right? Like, there's so many complications there that it's just impossible to do, especially when the world is already in chaos and disorganized, with half the world being in ruins. No, I don't. it's impossible to do that within a few years, right? So yeah, that in itself is already very highly improbable. I'm just gonna say it's impossible, right? It's impossible. Not to mention, even if you say, oh, but they were shocked because of the the cruelty of the world, the cruelty of the wars, and so many people died already. But hey, guess what? There's some people who hold the belief that probably half the people on Earth dying is a good thing, right? And they might not be the ones who die. So there we go. I just know. And then we get to the second impossibility, which is actually hiding all this information from history. Again, that is just not stemming from the first point, how everybody has different ideological or their own beliefs and whatnot. It's also impossible to get everyone on board the idea of hiding something as big as their history, right? It just doesn't work that way. There's always bound to be someone who does not agree with this method of, even like, for instance, in the aftermath that we saw, right? Once they actually released the truth, revealed the truth, people got upset, right? People got up in arms with all that, and people were debating like, why, like, how could you do this to us? They wanted to riot and whatnot. The same thing with the original people as well. That is, it's just not possible, right? Let's just be clear here. It's just not possible. And even if maybe on the surface level they might say, okay, sure, we're not going to say anything. How do you stop people from actually talking about it, right? How do you stop people from talking about their past? And that's one thing, right? And then you continue on, and what about their kids as well, right? Unless you're saying, like, there's bound to be kids who maybe don't have the full grasp of the situation yet, but they're bound to have their memories of their time back on Earth and then on Astra as well. And then are you trying to install this concept into them that they cannot actually say anything in regards to this? Like, even if this was just a 1,000 people society, I already think that it would be very hard to achieve something like this. Here they literally said that half the world still survived, right? And it's a ways into the future. Let's say, just for rounding purposes, 10 billion, right? 5 billion people left, and you want to convince 5 billion people to never mention this again? No, that is impossible. Not to mention, human nature is curiosity is part of human nature, right? There's bound to be somebody who, they look at the situation, they grow up or whatnot, and then they see that the past is all in shambles. How come all this history is fuzzy and whatnot? There's bound to be people who investigate this, who want to get to the bottom of the truth in regards to all this. And I mean, even within this episode itself, it said that there were several people who were getting close to truth, right? It definitely doesn't need to take 100 years to do this. Just 1 or 2 generations is enough for enough people to be dedicated enough to try and solve this problem. It just doesn't work, right? No. And then again, onto the next thing, I mentioned my personal belief, right? So I am actually a big fan of history. It was my major as well, even though I'm not doing my current job has nothing to do with history, honestly. But still, I am absolutely firmly against any kind of censorship, especially censorship in regards to your past, your history, right? You need to know about your past in order to, it's just part of what makes humans us, right? Through evolving all this way to here, we went through history. It might not be written history did not exist for it only exists for like a few thousand years or whatnot, but still, that is what shaped people to be what we are today. It's very important. And of course, I can also say that people can learn from their mistakes, and we need to know about history in order to not repeat history. Of course, some people would say, but hey, look, we're repeating history right now. And that actually just ties right into my first point, which is you're never going to change human nature, right? People, the beliefs they hold, they're going to continue to hold them. But what's important here is that because there's history, because there's knowledge of history, when someone is going on these kinds of radical thoughts or whatnot, you have something to, you can present evidence to say, no, this is not a good idea. You can still continue to have what kind of belief that you believe in, but history will ensure that it's not going to become a popular, how should I say it? A popular concept, if you will. Like even nowadays, when you say, "Oh, how can we do this when people don't even learn from history?" Well, have you considered the idea that perhaps they aren't as educated in history as they might necessarily should have, right? But yeah, this last portion is more of a personal belief perspective, but I would be one of those that would be vehemently against any kind of censorship of the history of the past, the true history of the immigration from Earth to Astra, right? If I was part of the remaining half population that survived, I would not agree with this, never. And I'm sure that there's going to be countless others that also, have the same concept, have the same belief that I have as well. And so that ties in back to my first point, and that is, you're never going to get so many people to sign off on this kind of situation. So there we go. Yeah. So I'm not, like, if this is how the manga, if this is how the work chooses to portray this, then fine, right? It's, at the end of the day, it's a fictional story. But I just wanted to use this, I guess, opportunity to it's sort of like a talking point, if you will. Like, this discussion portion of my videos isn't really to say what is right or wrong. It's just simply, you could say a more in-depth discussion into the parts of this, and my personal feelings about it, and also an invitation for you guys to express your own feelings as well. I'm sure there's people who would say, hey, this sounds to be better for humanity as a all, hit the hard reset button so everybody starts again. There's bound to be people who believe that as well. But I'm just saying that, you can have your beliefs, and that exists. I have my belief, and my belief also exists, and that is why this thing would be impossible to do to begin with, right? But sure, for the sake of the story, fine. I'm not even sure how the author could have tied this without using this kind of method, right? Like, originally I was thinking perhaps what happened was, in the end, the evacuation was controlled by, a certain group of people, and it was actually a very limited group of people. I was thinking of potentially, like, I don't know, like 1 million people eventually immigrated out of, I don't know, billions of people who perished on Earth there. And so it was through this kind of method that, at least it's a more manageable population, right? And, or they could even sort of select the people who they want to bring, and so on and so forth. And that would be how they could guarantee this situation to proceed as they had planned, right? But if you're just saying, just move half the population over, nah. Alright, okay, that was already long, and I want to wrap this up. So, the series as a whole, right? First of all, what I really like about the series is the characters. The characters are great. They each have their own, quirks. They have their own backstory, and I like that we also went to each of their backstories to learn more about them. Kanata especially, like, completely grew on me. I don't really like these sort of shonen archetypes, which, muscles over brain and whatnot, and just go, forever, yeah, let's go, we'll do this for sheer determination and willpower and whatnot. Like, these are not the type of characters that I typically identify with or relate with, but Kanata, nothing but respect, man. Nothing but respect. In regards to, how he's been leading everybody, his treatment of Charis, and all that, and even at the very end, all continuing on to adventure again, like, fantastic character, right? I did feel kind of, like, the unfortunate situation is that there's not enough time to really give everybody equal development, right? Like, so for instance, Yunhua, for example, beyond her episode where she cut her hair and whatnot, didn't really have much of a presence here, but then again, there's not really much that we can do about that, right? So, but still, the characters, I feel, are main drawing point of this series, as it is, as I've seen the anime. And in terms of the actual, what actually happened, I wish there were more exploration stuff. Like, I get that they're trying to mostly use these sort of planets and whatnot. it's using the exploration as a context for providing the character development and the character backstories, right? But still, you know, the space nerd in me wants this, the sci-fi nerd in me wants this to have a lot more information in regards to the ship, in regards to what they're doing when they're exploring all the different planets, so on and so forth. So I wish they could have crammed a little bit more of that into here. Like if this was an, I don't know, an 18 episode anime, right? I feel like they could have fit a lot of that into there. I will definitely be reading the manga to this, just to see if you know, they go through a lot more things in depth. You guys have been saying that indeed the manga itself goes a lot more in depth to it, and I want to see that. So I will be reading this later. And I guess my biggest wish, I guess you'd say, is that I wish that the two stories, you know, the two distinct stories, could be merged together a little bit better, right? So what I'm talking about is in regards to this whole cloning situation, right? The situation that actually involved the kids and why they were thrown out into space in the first place, and this sort of true history of the world type of thing. Now, obviously, the author already had this in mind from the very beginning. He probably structured all this out already. That's why, you know, there's the existence of the wormhole, and we can see from the very beginning that the planet that they were sort of orbiting, that they exited the wormhole from, was actually Earth, right? And then we can also see the asteroid. You know, the asteroid crater and all that. So we know that the author already had a plan of, you know, he wanted these kids to be clones, and he also wanted there to be a hidden history in regards to what happened on Earth and what happened on Astra. But I don't know, it still feels like kind of separate, if you get what I mean. It's like the kids just accidentally stumbled upon this piece of information and what actually happened, right? Like if they never met Polina, for instance, then they would have continued on without actually knowing about what this whole situation was about, right? So it was just by stroke of luck that they that it was related somehow, and then they managed to unveil this truth, right? Now, is that a good storytelling? You know, in the end, it still works, right? What works. And like I said, the author already had this in his mind that this was going to happen. But in order to merge them a little bit better, like, I don't know, I perhaps maybe one of them inadvertently kind of was stumbling upon the truth, and so that was a person that needed to be that the others needed to get rid of, and so that's why that person that student, whatever, was also part of the team and whatnot. And so it's later on explained that there is this sort of relationship between all of them. Or say, for instance, you know, the fact that they were clones maybe has something to do with the history of the world. Like, even Shars, he only knows about this because, you know, presumably he's being groomed for no, actually, it's a good idea. Like, why does Shars need to know about all this? Or did he only learn about this after he was given this mission by the king? Right? Because if you think about it, he doesn't really need to know about all this, even if he is the prince or whatnot. But still, because his entire identity is that of a clone, and eventually memories of the old king is going to be put into Shars, he doesn't really have a need to know, right? So I wonder if, yeah, that's one thing that I don't really understand. Like, why did Shars need to know about all this? And so why were they actually able to learn about the truth in the very end, right? So, yeah. So anyways, that's my biggest thing about this series, actually, is that I wish they could have actually combined these two a little bit better. But yeah, anyways, holy shit, this is already a 20-minute review. Anyways, still though, in spite of everything that I've said, I did really enjoy this series, and again, it's nice to see a space-oriented series that's done well, and it's not just you know, wacky or fan service or so on and so forth, right? The usage of music was nice. The story turned out to be a lot more compelling. The character interactions and relations and whatnot turned out to be a lot more compelling than I was originally expecting. Didn't quite get all the exploration that I wanted, but still, overall, I would say this is solid. I had fun with it, and definitely, I would say it's still recommendable to people. if they want to sort of have this mystery slash space exploration. You know, honestly, if people come into this looking for space exploration, I don't like, if people want a space exploration series, I feel like maybe this wouldn't be the best series to recommend to them. But definitely on the mystery department, and in regards to, you know, basically, I wouldn't even say school life. It's really hard to say like what this series, what the best genre for this series is. Like, obviously it's sci-fi oriented and whatnot, but still, people who want to know about adventure and space exploration, they would typically have different kinds of expectations, like I had when I first came into this series. So, but overall, like I said, it's still very compelling. Most of it is still logical, and they still tied up the story in the end. So, yeah, I guess that about concludes what I think about this series as a whole. So there we go. Hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm sure that there are some of you who only stumbled upon my channel or my videos because of this series. Feel free to watch my other work as well. As you might see from this episode also, or from previous episodes, I try to focus my videos a bit more on the discussion parts, if you will, where I like to talk about, you know, some specific things. Sometimes I give references, sometimes it's a little bit of trivia, sometimes I just latch onto a certain point and want to make it a talking point, if you will. It doesn't necessarily have to do with you know, how the story is going to play out, but of course I also do predictions and theory crafting as well. So if that is something that you guys actually like, feel free to check out my other works. If not, well, I do hope that we will meet again someday. Enjoy, have fun, and hopefully I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.